Hey, stop! She wasn't doing anything!
I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It. And we will be getting into some Taylor Swift stuff today. Also some Vanderpump Rules, Love is Blind, and then that girl that said she was Madeline McCann. So, anything before we get started?
Just quick news, nothing that's needs to get a deep dive, but Colton Underwood got married yesterday to his boyfriend, I guess now his husband. Also, Sydney from The Bachelor got married yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun. Oh, and Brandon and Serene broke up.
Brandon and Serene broke up, and Pump is closing.
Yeah. What a mixed bag rundown that was. Okay, so lots of Taylor Swift news to get into. I'll start with a quick recap. I was at Nashville night 2. We got, for our surprise songs, we got Out of the Woods and 15. 15 was cute because Abigail, the redhead mentioned in the song, was there at the concert. So, cuteness. Videos of her surfaced later. Obviously didn't see her while we were there. Phoebe Bridgers and Taylor performed Nothing New from Red, Taylor's version from The Vault. It was so good. I love that song. I was so excited. I have since ventured into more Phoebe Bridgers. I like her. I just haven't done a deep dive into her music. There was no rain for us on night 2, but as people have probably seen, night 3 had a 5-hour rain delay. Still performed in the lightning and thunder. Kind of scary, but
yeah.
She's never gonna
Friend
not
of mine
perform.
was at night 3, and she had to take off work the next 2 days because she got home so late, and then she got really sick.
Yeah.
From being out in the rain.
Yeah, they were up till 2, and obviously quite damp. But also, what a fun experience. Yeah. I would probably have been a little too stressed. Cramped in the club level with that many people. Yeah. But what a story, I guess. Okay. Into the Joe Alwyn rumors, which seem like old news at this point. Now with the Maddie Healy rumors, but we got to start with Joe. So, rumors circulating that he possibly cheated, whether that was the demise of their relationship or not sure. But the rumor is that he cheated with a co-star, Emma Laird. Emma had posted on Instagram in April of some photos, and one was of him with some green scooters, and she said "Moments from March" as her caption. But the background with the green scooters on it looks really similar to a photo she posted in January when him and Taylor were still together. So this got people thinking, were him and Emma together in January? No, I guess they could have been physically together, but not anything nefarious. But yeah, I don't know necessarily that the scooters mean anything. Mixed with all the other things, it's a little sussy. So Dumois also reported that their relationship started struggling at the beginning, or at the announcement and leading up to the Eras tour. So it seems that they decided to take a break during her tour, let her focus on her tour. Dumois also says that Taylor believes Joe is the one that leaked the news of their breakup. Some fans are really, really vocal about they don't believe that he leaked it. I don't know if that means they don't believe that Taylor believes that, or if they just don't believe that he did. I also think people really did love Joe, so it's a hard breakup for the fans.
Yeah. I honestly had no idea that he was an actor.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And so, like, the cheating with a co-star, I was like, a co-star of what?
Yeah, I haven't even looked into what they were into or in together. It does seem pretty true to me that the relationship did not end super great. Taylor went on like a couple lunches and dinners with various friend groups, with like Gigi Hadid and the Hayam sisters. And they immediately after that lunch unfollowed Joe. She had a dinner with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And immediately after they had unfollowed, or Ryan, and I don't think Blake ever followed him, but Ryan had unfollowed. And it may not be significant that like Taylor's brother or her close girlfriends would unfollow her ex when they're not together. Yeah. But apparently Ryan Reynolds and Joe had like been friends and had like a pretty good relationship. So to me that rings some bells, some alarm bells, that Ryan Reynolds, a good friend of Joe's, would unfollow after hanging out with Taylor. So I don't know. Yeah. Not super amicable sounding.
Yeah.
Rumors about the Midnights album.
Yeah. There's this idea that, like, if you listen to the Midnights album from, like, a retrospective point of view, that it sounds like a breakup album. That, like, it just sounds like kind of going down memory lane, like, here's what the good parts of our relationships, here's how it started, but, like, kind of, like, saying goodbye to the relationship. I also think, though, that if you listen to anything from a retrospective point of view, that it could sound that way. But a couple people have said, like, oh, this is, like, people have said, like, I can't wait for the breakup album, and other people are like, I think this was the breakup album. Like, it's so different from the songs about him in Lover or Reputation that, like, it's clearly, like, memories, but there's no, like, evidence to that being true.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously, we don't know the timeline of, like, things starting to go downhill. The reported timeline isn't till January, which would have been after Midnights was even released, so certainly after it was written. But I also think that, like, that's assuming that Taylor writes in, like, a super literal sense, and that, like, everything she, like, I feel like her albums since being with Joe have always included, like, some breakup songs, some not. So I don't personally believe that that's what it was. I will say Midnight Rain has, like, always seemed like I broke his heart because he was nice, and it, like, seemed like it could be about Joe, but also obviously sounds like a breakup. But I also, I think Taylor's just a little too creative for me to assume that that's exactly what it means. But I'll never say never. They've been together a long time, so this could have been something they saw coming, I guess.
Yeah.
On to the next. Maddie Healy from the 1975. Originally was going to say, sources are saying that they're together, but we don't really need the sources anymore. They're literally out at dinners holding hands. He's with her family, going to her condo. This is something. So, the sources that we now don't need did say that they like each other. And that it's not serious, at least for now. Yep, there were pictures of them going back to her condo in Nashville after night 2, which he was at with Gigi, I think.
In Philadelphia, the first night he was with Blake Lively and her kids, and the second night he was with Taylor's parents.
Okay. So also sources say that it was Jack Antonoff, a mutual producer for Taylor in the 1975, that reconnected them. In the past, Taylor has played with the 1975. This isn't like super random. They've had musical connections. Obviously, they share a producer. And in the past, around 2015. I can't figure out when the original statement was made because there's been apology statements since, but around 2014 or 2015, Maddie Healy denied dating Taylor, saying that it would be emasculating. He later explained that he was just in a place where he feared that being seen as someone's boyfriend, probably someone as big as Taylor Swift, would overshadow his own success, which by itself sounds really reasonable.
Yeah.
That's not it, though, with Maddie Healy.
Yeah, right.
Maddie Healy has made some racist comments, some xenophobic comments, like, on Instagram. On interview shows, he made some comments questioning the ethnicity of Ice Spice on the Adam Friedland show. I don't even know what that is.
Which is also, like, is it his business?
Yeah. None of your business.
Like, it's not, like, not just, like, racist, but, like...
Who cares? Yeah. He did tweet about Black Lives Matter post, but around the time of George Floyd's murder, and linked his own music to the tweet, which people did not love because they felt that he was using the movement to promote his band, which, fair. Yeah. There's a concert that I found a clip of where he started to say, "This isn't going to be racist," and then the band just started playing music over him.
That was, like, the trend that he did, I think, because there's another clip from a different concert, but for the same song, where he says, "You know the Chinese," and then again the band cuts it and starts playing the music, so it seems like that's, like, a bit for their shows, is for him to, like, start with a racist comment and then get cut off by the band to, like, seeming like it's funny that he's not going to actually say it.
Yeah.
But, like...
Which seems to be the thing with Maddie Healy, is, like, is he just a rock star who's, like, just being a little chaotic on stage, and that's just his stage personality? Obviously, people have questioned, like, is that really who he is? I think it's, like... Yeah. No one really wants to see Taylor associated with someone like that, but also it's, like, hard to assume that Taylor would want to be friends with even someone if that is how they were on the reg.
Right.
So
I think I said this to you that, like, I feel like I have to, like, trust that Taylor Swift, like, vets the people she is seen with, and that, like, surely he can't be like this, and she approved of him enough to, like, date him publicly or whatever. But then I also feel like if someone shows you who they are, believe them. And so, like, I don't know, it's a little, like, jarring for me to see her with him, knowing that, like, there's these problematic things that have been said about him for a really long time. But then I also want to, like, trust that, like, she is, like, she's a really good person, and she's a really good, like, celebrity to look up to. She's really good about, like, her being vocal about her political beliefs and stuff. So, like, I want to believe that, like, she wouldn't hang around with someone that's like that, but then, like, he's been so public about it, but, like, she is hanging around with someone like that. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think also, like, her friends, like, Gigi Hadid hangs out with him, and Phoebe Bridgers hangs out with him, and he played music during her opening for Taylor Swift, and there's actually a photo that Phoebe Bridgers posted on her own Instagram of Maddie Healy holding her boobs, and it just seems like if all of these women are so comfortable with him, and so comfortable being his friends, then, well, I haven't even gotten into the lady things yet, but it just seems like he must be a better person off the stage than on. But yeah, that's kind of the other part, is he's been known for kissing fans, even reports of sucking on their fingers.
Yeah.
It is said that he gets consent first. But a little bit strange, Maddie Healy has made comments that he feels sexualized by fans when he's on the stage. So it seems like a little bit of a strange choice to suck on their fingers. But, you know.
Yeah. I also think we need to, like, mention that there have been some fans who say that he has made advances on them or, like, sexually harassed or assaulted them without consent. There aren't as many reports of that as with consent, but I think that it's important to, like, note that not everyone is saying the same thing about how he begins that behavior, that sometimes it is unwanted.
Yeah.
And the fans who have said that have all been, I believe, underage.
Which doesn't really matter at that point if you got consent. Yeah. Which is like a whole other thing about like maybe the intention isn't to suck on the fingers of underage girls, but when you have randos getting up on stage and you don't know their age, it's maybe just not smart. Right. I don't know. I also think like as much as we're saying, it is very possible, Taylor, that he is a different person on stage than he is around his friends. These people seem to ride for him. Mm-hmm. They like him. But I also just, Taylor Swift has worked so hard on like an image, and she's such like a good person. We just watched her defend someone at her show because a male security guard tried to stop her from touching the railing. And so it just seems like you would not want to be affiliated. But back to the non-seriousness, people have said, like, this may just be her sowing her wild oats, being single. She's been in a relationship for 6 years. Yeah. It's time to let her freak flag fly. Yeah. If all of the rest isn't enough, both Maddie Healy and Taylor Swift at separate concerts mouthed to presumably each other, since they both did it, and said, this is about you, you know who you are, I love you.
Which seems
serious.
But
I think they've been, like, friends. Like, I don't know. She could love him in, like, a different way, I guess. I have seen that some fans over the past, like, week or two are coming around to this. But generally, people are not thrilled. I think people are not happy with Jack Antonoff. I don't know if he's done anything else or if it's just for the reconnecting of them. Yeah. One more thing about Taylor Swift, Mary, that I saw and I don't think I've mentioned yet. There's a possible rumored book coming. Yes. So, yeah. Basically, there's a book up for pre-order on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, I don't know, maybe everywhere, with no author, no title, no image, but says it's a memoir. Mm-hmm. And it has already, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but sold like the most pre-orders on Amazon or whatever. Mm-hmm. The most could be not the right statistic, but a shit ton of orders. And it's set to release June 13th. Has 544 pages. 5 plus 4 plus 4 is 13. The other part of this is that when Taylor announced Speak Now Taylor's version, she put Dear Reader in the announcement. So people feel...
Which is not a Speak Now song.
Right, not a Speak Now song. People feel that this is her memoir. Yeah. Here's my thoughts. Either that is someone else's memoir and they're the luckiest motherfucker in the world because everyone is pre-ordering their book, or it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I feel like when people who are not, like, Taylor Swift fans hear things like that, they're like, okay.
What a reach.
What the hell are you talking about? Like, that's not, there's no way. But then, like, as a Taylor Swift fan, you're always, like, a little bit like, okay. But then, like, you see other things that she does, and you're like, no, that, like, makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, actually, like, you can't put anything past her. Yeah. Like, as far as, like, hidden things. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. And I also think that, like, the Swifties have just, like, a knack for figuring this stuff out. Like, I was, like...
I believe them.
The other day that was, like... someone was saying that the song, You Need to Calm Down is, like, about Taylor being bi, and, like, it's, like, a message to her younger self who, like, tried to suppress it, which, like, I guess makes sense, but if she's hasn't come out yet, so it's still, like, a little bit suppressed, I guess. But, like, they were like, look at the color of her jacket, the color of her hair in this music video. And I'm like, yeah, like, I feel like clearly that's what it's about. Like, her jacket, her hair, everything is literally flag. And so, like fans pick up on those things, like, so quickly. And I feel like Taylor Swift fans are almost always right about those theories. And so, like, I would not be surprised if all those people get a Taylor Swift memoir in the mail on June 13th.
Yeah. Or she just did some invisible marketing for somebody else. But
yeah,
she does love to scheme. I will say 500 pages for a memoir is really long.
Yeah.
So there are, I guess, a couple options. Maybe that's not the real page count. And it is just a clue. Maybe it includes pictures or something.
Yeah.
Or she wrote a 500-page memoir. So I guess we'll see. But I will not be pre-ordering or ordering until I know what it is.
Yeah.
But good for those people that are ready to risk it all.
They go hard for her.
Yeah. As they should. She goes hard for us, so.
Yeah. She didn't do anything.
That security guard is probably really, really hating himself right now.
Yeah.
Okay. We're moving on.
Okay.
To Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember I was texting you during that show, and then my best friend was texting me, and she's like, what is happening on this episode? Because, like, this is, like, one of the episodes that it's, like, very clear this was already in the, like, lineup of episodes. Like, we were going to see the majority of this episode regardless. Like, I know that there's been, like, editing and all of that and, like, recutting things, but, like, I just don't understand, like, how the plan or whatever the plan was that, like, Tom Schwartz was, like, hinting at of, like, afterwards, like, whatever. Like, how are you ever gonna come clean and, like, expect people to be like, oh, this was, like, a very normal, Tom and Ariana broke up, Raquel stepped in and comforted him, and they just got together, and, like, that's normal and that's okay, and nothing ever happened before that. like they were setting themselves up for failure the whole time, which is funny because, like, in his interviews after Guys Night, it is, like, so clear that he's, like, setting himself up to break up with Ariana, and, like, it's just crazy to me, like, how stupid they were to think that was gonna be enough and work, and, like, people are just gonna be like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I really do think, like, that was probably his plan, was, like, break up with Ariana, and then me and Raquel will just conveniently end up together. Obviously, like you're saying, like, if everyone on the show was already suspicious, when you started dating Raquel, even if it's months later, they were gonna think, like, that's fucking shady. Yeah. You must have already been doing that. But Tom Sandoval has never minded rumors so long as they're not proven true. So I think he will, like, he will just take it to the grave. He would have just been like, fine that y'all think that, but we weren't. Like, we weren't hooking up. It didn't happen till after, and he would have been ready to take that shit to the grave. And I think, like, he still is acting like we don't know the truth about Miami Girl. Like, we don't. No, what? Like, everyone knows, dude. Like, we all know.
Yeah, that's the least of your worries to admit right now.
Yeah. Yeah. About the editing, I had been waiting. Lala, on her podcast, Give Them Lala, had been repeatedly saying, like, there's no editing. There's been no editing. Like, it's the same, like, whatever. But she did admit, which we pretty much could tell, but then I started to think, like, was this not edited? But the episode where she does, like, a whodunit style voiceover where she's like, and then Ken Todd walks in, and she did confirm that was re-edited, that they they asked her to come do this voiceover, which I think is, like, great because she has said, I was the only one who thought it was weird, and even producers were telling me they are not hooking up, we don't believe you, you're just bitter because of Randall, like, it's not happening. So it's nice that the producers were like, we need to call her back in because she's the only one who thought this was happening.
Yeah, and I honestly would have believed that it wasn't re-edited because they've done those like before. Like, there's one where like Jax does it, and he's explaining that like no, I don't know. I think it was like Shorts or Sandoval was talking about Jax.
Yeah, I think so.
They were talking about like that Stassi, Kristen, and Katie make up like this perfect team to take Jax down when he cheated on Brittany. And they had done it at another point too, but like they've done those like kind of voiceovers before, and so like I was like, oh, this is like something that they do, and so like I really would have believed it if it hadn't been re-edited. But I think it's she's getting the recognition she deserves for picking up on it.
I'll also believe literally anything Lala tells me. So also interesting. So that conversation that Lala had with Ariana, where she's talking to her about the barbecue, and was like, Sandoval didn't leave, and like you were upset with him, and Ariana like calls Sandoval over. Lala also said on her podcast that Ariana got very upset, and production had to shut down for that conversation. That when, as soon as Lala brought it to her, Ariana said, I'm not doing this, I'm done, and shut production down. Which I think, not to give any credit to Tom Sandoval, let me be clear, but I think that it is a true statement that Tom and Ariana, perhaps mostly Ariana, did want to have a decent image on the show. That she did not want people to know all the bullshit, she did not want people to see them fighting, and she wanted to remain a united front with her man and just say, like, we're going to handle this behind closed doors. I was upset with him, but, like, we don't need to talk about that on TV. Yeah, we're good. But I mean, Lala referred to it as a meltdown from Ariana, which may or may not be fair. I obviously wasn't there. But Lala did say that originally that clip was not important enough to make it into the episode, and then it was re-edited in. Which, of course, like, why would it be important that Sandoval stayed at a barbecue if we didn't know what we know now?
I wonder if the lightning bolt necklace thing was added in later.
I wonder too.
Like, I could see like the shopping date being included because Raquel was like talking about how like Terry was so mean to me. And I could see that like being something they want to keep in, but like the actual like purchasing of the necklace felt like it was dropped in for us.
Yeah, I feel like the only reason it like would have been in there originally was to show us that Raquel just spent $780 on a necklace, and to just kind of like mock her. I don't know that it, obviously the lightning bolt itself wouldn't have been relevant, except she's always been this Tom stan, loving the lightning bolt stuff, so whatever.
Kind of relevant, kind of not. Hannah G from The Bachelor had her bachelorette trip this weekend in Vegas, and on the first night she wore the dress that Raquel wore to Sheena's white party, in the picture where Brock commented all of the fire emojis, and people were commenting on it, and they were like, not Raquel's dress, and she was like, I don't know, I haven't seen it, like I didn't buy it for that reason, like, and like people were like, the bad juju of this dress, like, and it looks so cute on her, and like it's a really cute bachelorette party dress, but like all of the comments were like, Raquel's dress.
Yeah, I will never wear Tinkerbell green ever again, I guess. Also, Tom and the Most Extras are sucking, dying, having free shows, buy one, get one. Yeah. I did see one where some girls came with some posters. It did say they eventually got kicked out with the posters that say worm with a mustache, Poo Poo Head.
I think that's funny that they like kicked them out when like he's making jokes about it.
Yeah.
on the stage
if
in
he
the middle
can
of the
sing
show,
about Raquel, like, come on now. Yeah.
Like, you really don't expect people to, like, if you're in on the joke, you shouldn't be bothered by the signs.
I mean, unless you, like, aren't allowed to have signs, I guess, like...
That might be a possibility. When we went to the Lizzo concert, you couldn't have anything bigger than an 8x11 sign.
So a piece of paper.
So when we first went through security, there were just posters in the trash, like, at every lane.
Yeah.
Because you could only get in with a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So, but they seemed to be in there for a while with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they obviously got in. Although, who knows if there was even security, dude, if there's no tickets to process or seats that they have to sit in. Oh, how sad. Howie Mandel kept stroking his ego and saying, like, you're doing a tour. You're doing so well for yourself. Ha, Howie. He's performing for free.
Yeah. It's not like the Jonas Brothers. They're about to shut down Ticketmaster for the second time.
Yeah.
In a year.
Yeah. Anyway, Mary, did you watch that reunion trailer?
Yes.
Poo Poo Heads!
I, like, to be honest, like, the part where she's like, don't look at me, you deserve to look at this, I was like, she was in the dressing room, like, looking at herself in the mirror, and she was like, I'm gonna say this the second he looks at me. And it was just, like, so perfect. And, like, I know that they, like, clip things together, but, like, I really hope that as soon as she said that and he looks away, I'm like, I hope that's happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the commentary.
Yeah. I did love that, like, and I'm sure there will be more of people telling Raquel how much it's not just selfishness, but I loved that Ariana was like, no, like, this is, like, subhuman. Like,
you're not.
Disgusting. This wasn't, like, selfish, like, you cheated on, you were a mistress for someone else. You were a mistress for my man, your best friend, right in front of my face, in my house. Yeah. Like, that's beyond selfish. Like, come on.
Yeah. And, like, and I think that it's crazy that she's still hanging on to, like, well, Lala and James did this too. And like Lala said, like, it's not the same thing. And, like, it's just, like, asinine to me that she is on one hand being like, I know I was so selfish and I acted out on, like, things, like, that I wanted to do instead of thinking about others and blah, blah, blah. And, like, she's supposed to be there to take accountability, but she's like, I don't want to hear from anyone else that I did something wrong. And, like, we all know the difference between what Lala and James did and what Sheena did and what Kristen Doty did even and what Raquel did.
Yeah, and I think, like, the point that obviously her and Tom are always going to miss is that, like, mistresses, extramarital affairs, cheating, not new, right? Not new on Vanderpump Rules. We're not shocked. The shock of it all is the Raquel and Ariana part. It's the best friend part. It's the amount of time. It's the amount of time that she committed to this lie to Ariana's face in Ariana's house while Ariana was confiding in her, while Ariana was at home grieving her grandmother. It's the Raquel of it all. Yeah. In the best friend part. Like, it's just like... Right. And we'll do this all day, but, like, again, Raquel said her and James weren't really together until she lived with him. So Lala fucked him while you weren't really together. Then why does it matter? Right. I don't understand. But it seems pretty clear that there's going to be, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong because it's only a trailer, but it seems pretty clear there's not going to be like a mea culpa, tail between their legs, we were wrong thing. No.
Yeah, like just the part where they're in, like, outside of his trailer and then, like, in his trailer, like, even the part for the finale episode where she's, like, laughing, like, oh, this didn't go like we had planned.
I know,
like,
yeah.
I feel like I just can't wrap my head around caring so little about other people and, like, being so awful and just, like, trying to defend it. Like, I cannot understand, like, how she does that. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, and I think we all knew that was coming from Sandoval. A, because we've watched him for 10 seasons, and also because we listened to the Howie Mandel interview. I think we all knew there was going to be no accountability on his part, but I stupid me, thought that Raquel had enough capacity for embarrassment that she would be like, okay, at least for the cameras, I have to be apologetic. At least for the cameras, for my image, I have to be sorry. And, like, no, just does not care.
I think if it had happened prior to this season, I think she would have. I think that she has worked so hard since she has come on the show to present herself as a little dumbass
debutante.
And, like she, truly the definition of, like, a sexy baby. Like, wants everyone to believe that she's just, like, so cute and sweet and innocent and pure. And I think that prior to this season, if it had come out, if it had happened before all this stuff with Schwartz, I think that's exactly how it would have played out, that she would have been, like, I think she would have stuck with the, like, I'm the victim in this situation, like, Tom took advantage of me, like, I am so sorry. But this season, she totally flipped the script on who she is as a person to prove that, like, she is stronger than James, she is stronger without James, and that she is, like, putting forth this idea of, like, that she's just, like, a total badass, like, single lady, she can do whatever she wants, and I think that that's why she's not apologetic about it. I think that she's, like, now she's like, I'm a different person now, I put myself first, and I'm gonna keep doing that, even though I hurt someone, like, at this moment, like, beyond repair.
Yeah.
And I think that she's just completely, like, tried to rebrand herself in this season, and I think she's trying to keep up with that now instead.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also hard for me because I'm going to say this thing that is going to sound like an excuse for her, but bear with me. It's like the chicken or the egg. Like, what came first? Did she start doing this and being unapologetic about it because of, yes, this type of person she's trying to present herself as is, like, this badass that doesn't care and, like, oh, I couldn't do half the stuff I was doing if I was still running for Miss California. Like, and now that she's aged out of pageant, she's like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. But I also think that there is some validity to the fact that she was manipulated by a narcissist.
Yeah.
And
I think that this behavior is very in line with how he acts.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I think that he's feeding that into her for sure.
Yeah, and I think, like, when you see her talking to Terry Maloney, and when you see the way she speaks to Katie, and, like, Katie's not even talking to her, and she comes and sits down and is like, well, you don't need to tell Tom what to do with your dogs. Like,
the bird pool.
Yeah, that is, like, so Tom Sandoval, like, oozing out of her. I will say, like, again, not that that's an excuse, because, like, I also think she's disgusting, and, like, the way that she has, like, handled this has been really repulsive. But, yeah, I mean, you can see with the Coors Light in her hand and the way she's screaming at Katie that this girl has really been taken by Tom Sandoval.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Mom and I were talking about it yesterday when she was here in town, and we were talking about how, like, apparently her only friend now is Joe, who's dating Tom Schwartz, and I think that, like, again, the people she is surrounding herself with right now are feeding that. Like, they're like, you love him, he loves you, like, you did what you had to do, like, you shouldn't have to apologize for that or whatever. Like, we all have heard Joe is Kristen Doute's crazy friend. Like, she must be really off the edge crazy. Like, she was living with Schwartz and pretending to be his roommate when they were, like, dating. We've also all heard the rumors that the four of them were going on double dates together after Tom Schwartz found out, but before the news broke. And it was still very much a secret affair, and Tom Sandoval was still very much with Ariana. And so I think that, like, for 7 months, she has had Tom Sandoval Tom Schwartz, who has shown himself to be, like, really not putting other people's feelings first ever, and Joe making her feel like she can do whatever she wants and feel fine about it. Like, I definitely think she has been manipulated, but I also think that she's a very easily manipulated person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she is one of those people who, like, really takes on the form of whoever she is with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, when she first got together with James, she was a lot like him.
Mm-hmm.
When he finally got sober and he was, like, doing better,
mm-hmm.
she was, like, more tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
And then now she's acting like a narcissist.
Yeah, and I think, like, whether she was manipulated by Tom or not, like, I don't really see a capacity for loyalty to her friends.
No.
Like, at all. Yeah. Or at least not, like, loyalty past one person. Like, she's gonna pick one person and, like, that's it. I cannot believe I forgot to write this in our notes. I don't know if you have heard this. Mm-hmm. Also, FYI, Mary and I's family has a Vanderpump Rules group chat for all the new tea. So all this stuff I'm saying, I don't know if you've seen this. We probably saw it at the same time. So I don't remember if this was in the group, but I did see some pretty proof-ish, some evidence that the night of the Something About Her look-see, but before they went to SUR, Joe, Schwartz, Sandoval, and Raquel went on a double date that night to Kyle Chan's party. They're all in the outfits that they wear to SUR after Something About Her. And so basically, Tom, on his way to go see his essentially wife's new business, and then going in and telling her how proud he was, went on a date with Raquel, Joe, and Schwartz to this party.
Yeah. I did not see that.
There's pictures of them in the outfits. They're all in the outfits. Although, can you remind me, did Sandoval and Schwartz... Oh, they did. They did show up at Something About Her with the flowers.
Yes.
Okay.
And yes.
But Raquel did not
seen that, but I have seen people posting snippets of the party at the location before they go to SUR, where, like, Tom Sandoval is texting, like, the entire time the girls are talking. And, like, other than, like, when he hands Ariana the flowers and kisses her, like, he's on his phone. So, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously we didn't see Joe at SUR. I don't know if she came. Probably not, because it was Katie's event. I can post pictures of it once this episode drops. But, yes, pretty damning. Hard to assume that Schwartz, Sandoval, and Raquel were all wearing the same outfits another night.
The Sandoval and Raquel are not outfit repeaters.
No.
They might be cheaters, but outfit repeaters they are not.
Mm-mm.
I also like that would make a lot of sense for how Raquel acted that night.
She was riled up.
She has just come from this, like, secret rendezvous date with, like, all the people who are in her corner on this, and she is, like, really feeling herself for it. And then also, like, Ariana was having such a big night that, like, it would have been weird if Sandoval hadn't been, like, with Ariana throughout the night, and I feel like that could, like, upset Raquel, and she's just, like, fiery about it. And so, like, I could see all of that clicking together and being what happened. That's so crazy. Katie has posted, or talked about at least, like, screenshots of conversations between herself and Joe when Joe first, like, moved in with Schwartz, or when, like, they first got divorced, and, like, how Joe was, like, very, like, apologetic to Katie for what she's going through and all of this stuff, while she essentially was dating Schwartz and then moved in with him. And so, like, again, this is not the kind of person and we already know, like, Raquel doesn't give two shits about Katie.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this is not the kind of person that you want to, like, model your behavior after. That,
Yeah.
like, she was saying, like, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Like, I'm here to support you however you need. Like, I hate that this is happening, but let me move in with your current husband before y'all get a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not who you... Like, of course that's her only friend, right?
Yeah. So I was going to ask, where do you fall on the theory that Raquel made out with Schwartz, not because Sandoval asked her to or as part of a cover-up, but because she was trying to make him jealous because she's single, but he's still with Ariana, so she's like, look what I can do, but you, like, you can't even get mad because you're not being with me. Like, people have theorized that it was actually more spiteful toward him.
He, like, talked about how it made him feel on Howie Mandel that, like, oh, I didn't feel jealous. I don't know. I honestly, like, can't put any malicious behavior past her. Like, I think it's very plausible that she wanted to bother him.
Yeah.
Make him jealous or whatever. But I also genuinely think that she was making out with Schwartz to hurt Katie.
Yeah.
Like, at the core of it, both of them, her and Schwartz, I think it was to hurt Katie. And Tom Sandoval said that, like, that's why he was glad they made out.
I was so proud. Yeah.
And that, like, I think that at the foundation, that was why she did it. It wasn't because, and, like, I've told you this, that I think that all of her interviews where she's talking about her crush on Tom Schwartz, I think she's, like, talking about Sandoval and just saying Schwartz. So I really don't think she's ever, like, really liked him. Sorry. But I think that, yeah, I don't think she ever really liked him. I think that she really wanted to hurt Katie, and I think that it was a nice little side effect that it maybe made Sandoval jealous. And I think that despite what he says, I think he was jealous. And I think that him, like, smacking her on the butt when Ariana told him to stop saying her name, I think, like, that was, like,
you're still mine.
A signal of, like, stop that, girl. Like, I can do what I want to.
Yeah, I think so.
The camera.
It's like he really forgets there's cameras there.
Yeah.
I am empathetic.
From the moment that he had the interaction with Miami Girl at the bar where she's, like, says hello to him and he just, like, goes white and, like, eyes are all big and he's like, I have to go. Like, from that moment, I'm like, this guy really doesn't understand that he's on a TV show. Like,
yeah.
And, like, it continues. Like, he's, like, just no, like, grip on reality.
None. Next week will be, I guess, so this past week was the supposed to be finale.
Yes.
And this coming week will be the actual finale, the post-Sandoval tapings. Do we know anything? Is it going to be 2 hours?
I don't know, but I know that Ariana is on Watch What Happens Live after.
Yeah. Woo!
And I know that the reunion is 3 parts long.
Okay. And then there's going to be all the stuff on Peacock.
Yes, the Peacock is going to have the extended cut of the reunion. We also know that the physical altercation that they talked about was clearly between James and Tom Sandoval, which I kind of figured because they had already said it wasn't between the Toms. And, like, I feel like James is probably not going to fight Schwartz. Like, that's not public enemy number 1 right now. And so, like, so they were the ones who had to be restrained from one another.
Andy said, my cards!
My cards! I need those.
I'm really excited that it'll be like a recap of when James crawled across the floor and said, you came crawling back!
It's so funny. He's so funny. I, like, really, like, he's, like, my favorite person to watch now that Stalky is off of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also, like, it really upset me in the last episode, or not the last episode, the one before, that Tom was wearing the yellow robe Smith shirt. Like, that is such a good moment. Like, how dare you wear that to your mistress's birthday? Like, I deserve the yellow robe Smith shirt more than you do. The heck?
Yeah.
Now I want one.
You should get one. James is selling merch.
It could be yellow robe Smith. It could be yellow Smith.
Listen, we would stay on this forever. But
we could.
Love is Blind.
Yes.
Oh, Nick and Vanessa are here to stay.
Yeah, I feel like I have like a fresh brain with this because I just watched seasons 3 and 4 this past week. I hadn't caught up on them yet. And like in both reunions, the amount of times that Vanessa was like, "We need our first Love is Blind baby," like was so, like, in and of itself was annoying. But then in the season 4 reunion, she was saying like, "Well, I'm obviously not going to ask like if you're trying right now, but like, when do you think there will be a Love is Blind? Like, are you pregnant?" Like, just the sheer like, just having no idea that that's not okay. After saying like, well, obviously I'm not going to ask if you're trying right now. Like, you shouldn't be asking any of those questions, and like, you gotta let it go. Like, when it happens, you can be like, oh my gosh, our first Love is Blind baby.
Yeah.
But like, until then, like, you need to chill the frick out. And like, I just have to wonder like how many times or how crazy it would have gotten if the reunion had worked out being live.
Yeah,
like,
well,
oh my god, it would have been insufferable.
Well, that's my question. Is like, it wasn't live.
Yeah.
But was it edited at all?
I also wondered that, and because she said like when they started, she was like, "I'm not live any." But then I feel like it must have been edited because I feel like it was the same length as all of the other episodes.
Unless they were gonna try to make it that length anyway, because it was gonna be live. But the thing is, my biggest concern when they announced it was going to be live, before we even saw all the shit go down, I said, how, first of all, like, people, the contestants, is that the word? The people that were on Love is Blind, they, in and of themselves, like, I can't imagine if I had to watch a Bravo reunion live. Like, they just, people just talk, they yell, like, there's stuff that I want clipped out, because I don't need to see everything. So I was already nervous that, like, Nick and Vanessa better be on their A game if there's no editing and it's live, and they better be able to cut people off. Like, I don't trust their ability to say, like, hey, we're moving on. Like, Andy Cohen could keep people, like, on a schedule, I think.
Yes.
But, like, I did not have any faith that they could do that. Now, obviously, they sucked. The live reunion sucked even more than they thought, and they sucked even more than I thought. But, disaster.
I was going to say this, like, about Nick and Vanessa, because don't they also host the Ultimatum?
Maybe.
Right?
And The Perfect Match, I think.
And I think they host The Perfect Match. And so, like, I don't watch those, so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that they do. And it just made me think of, like, Netflix's tendency to utilize the same actors over and over. Like, all of those Christmas movies that came out with Vanessa Ann Hudgens, all of the, like, teen romance movies with Noah Centineo, like, I just, like, I feel like they're like, oh, this person's great at this kind of thing, so we're gonna have them do all of them. And so, like, I'm not totally surprised that they're gonna continue hosting Love is Blind, because they host all these other things too. And, like, I feel like Netflix would rather just have hosts that annoy people than recast the host for all these different shows.
Yeah. Fans were hoping for Lauren Speed and Cameron Hamilton from season 1. So it would have been like, it wouldn't have been like a total new recast, because, like, these people have already existed in this world. But Netflix stripped us of those dreams. I didn't realize that they had actually started a change.org petition that got 40,000 signatures for this. But yeah, it seems that it got really bad. Nick and Vanessa turned off comments on Instagram. Paul Peden posted that Vanessa mailed him apology flowers after the reunion for the way that she spoke to him, which was kind of a shock. Like, I just was like, I did not realize we hated Paul so much.
I thought we hated Micah.
Yeah.
The part where she's talking to Marshall and she goes, ah. It made me so uncomfortable.
So
I was like,
weird.
I never want to watch this again. Like, I can't deal with this.
Just gonna,
It's so weird.
Skip the reunions.
But yeah, she was being just off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like.
Yeah. And I was ready to give Micah the benefit of the doubt and to, like, hear her out.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready for us to just flip the switch.
Yeah.
And, like, go for Paul.
Yeah. I like watching it after everyone else watched it. I obviously did not like Irina, and I didn't like Micah with Irina. But once Irina was removed from the equation, I was like, Micah's not that bad. Like,
yeah.
He seemed to, like, get along, like, at the dress fittings and stuff. Like, she was really, like, being a good friend to everyone, like, making good small talk, and, like, seemed to be getting along well with everyone. And, like, they, like, cried for her when her and her mom were crying over, like, Micah having been sick as a child and everything. And so I was like, okay, like, she's really not that bad. I felt like her friends were worse than anything. And obviously at the reunion, Irina also sucked still. But, like, I felt like Micah wasn't that bad, but I really didn't see any fault in Paul for not wanting to marry her. And so, like, I was also surprised that she, like, jumped on his throat for it.
Yeah. It was strange.
Yeah.
Deep D and Natalie have a podcast. I think it's called Out of the Pods.
Yeah.
They have, I think, lightly defended Nick and Vanessa. They've said, like, it's understandable why people feel that way, but, like, we really like them, and they were, like, mom and dad in the pods, and which I think is, like, fair that, like, they're likable humans more than they are good hosts, you know? Like, if y'all like being around them, like, that's cool. I think, like, they're not cut out for this.
Yeah. I also think that they're the kind of people who push the idea that they're mom and dad onto everyone, because I think, like, they say, like, when are Auntie Vanessa and Uncle Nick gonna get those Love is Blind babies? And, like, they're like, did you really think you were gonna have your dress fitting without Mama Vanessa? Like, I think they really, like, make sure that everyone feels that way, and I think less because they just naturally are that for the contestants, but more because, like, they're like, we are your mother and father.
Yeah.
Like, they really want it. Which is, like, fine, I guess, but...
Yeah. I guess it makes sense also, since we're hearing about these awful conditions. You need a mother and father because you are not allowed to leave. You can't have water and food, and you can't leave here.
And, like, I know, like, on Nick Viall's podcast, like, I did not hear the unedited version that Danielle was talking about. The version that I did hear was, like, the one where he says that what he was trying to point out was that he knows the conditions were not good, and that he did not, like, he agreed she probably shouldn't have passed the psychological evaluation. That, like, knowing the conditions that he was in when he was a contestant on The Bachelorette, when he was in Bachelor in Paradise, when he was the Bachelor, weren't good. So he had a feeling that they weren't on Love is Blind either. Which essentially is what she confirmed, that the conditions were not good on Love is Blind. But the way that he said it on his podcast was, like, very insensitive to her mental health and her suicide attempts from the past. That, like, she said, like, I shouldn't have been able to go on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been a red flag for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he didn't need to, like, say it the way he did. But yeah, that, like, she shouldn't have been on the show in the first place. But once she was, like, it really wasn't a good situation for anyone.
Yeah. Well, and I think we don't need to talk too much about suicidal ideation, but basically, like, just what I saw was so, like, trivializing in that he just was talking about, like, having these thoughts, like, because your meal comes out wrong, or, like, something that is obviously quite mocking, you know? And, like, doesn't, like, encompass any of the seriousness of this. I also think, like, sure, should Danielle have been on if she has had issues with her mental health in the past and any suicidal ideation? Like, no, she shouldn't have. But it sounds like the Love is Blind conditions are so awful that people who have never had any issues with their mental health would also really struggle in that environment. Like, being denied sleep, food, water, and any sort of support or the ability to leave, I think is not going to be good for any person.
It wouldn't be healthy for anyone.
Yeah, so I think, like, sure, Danielle had a specific situation, but I also think, like, let's not downplay that, like, this was fucking up a lot of people. And we obviously know that, like, there's a lot that goes on Love is Blind that is not filmed, like, apparently some engagements that we didn't even see, and a lot of contestants that we don't ever see because they're not relevant enough. And so, of course, these stories of, like, people that tried to leave and were told, no, you can't leave, like, how would we know? We would never know that. So
it makes me question, like, are y'all getting engaged after 6 days because you want to get the hell out of here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just, that it's not, like, and we know that, like, that they, like, Marshall confirmed that they switched up the scenes of Jacqueline breaking up with him and going on the date with Josh, that she did break up with him first and then went on the date, and that's not how it was aired. And so, like, there's clearly, like, some
editing,
like, lack of concern for how the contestants feel, and like,
and I think, like, you have to also think, are these people getting engaged in the middle of a minty bee? Okay, so we get to live with more Nick and Vanessa. It's gonna be great. Hopefully no more attempts at live reunions. Please, God. This TikTok girl that claimed to me Madeline McCann, so this is Mary's.
Okay, so a woman from Poland, I say recently, but it's been, like, I think a couple months of this, but she had gone viral on TikTok because she was claiming that she was Madeline McCann. If you don't know who Madeline McCann was, she is a girl who went missing in 2007 when she was 3 years old. Her family was on vacation in Portugal at the time, and her parents and her parents' friends were out to dinner at the resort they were staying at, and they said, like, it was just, like, a few feet away from their condo room, so they left the kids at the condo to sleep while they went to dinner. And that they could go back and check on them at any time. So I thought it was totally safe. And one of the times that they went back to check on them, Madeline was gone. She's never been found. It's never been confirmed whether she was kidnapped, killed, she's alive, or anything. So this girl on TikTok, her name is Julia Faustina. She went on TikTok and she posted, like, comparison pictures and, like, came up with all these reasons that she believed she was Madeline McCann. The main things she pointed out were that, like, they are the same age, that she was 3 in 2007 as well, and that they had the same like pattern of heterochromia, which like heterochromia is when your eyes are two different colors, but the patterns that Julia and Madeline had were that like each eye also has a speck of the other color in it. And I put in my notes, my dog also has that exact pattern of heterochromia. She has one blue eye with a brown speck and one brown eye with a blue speck. So like I don't know how rare it is. If that's really a great piece of evidence. But she also said that like she didn't have a birth certificate and that she has no photos of her childhood and that she doesn't have any photos of her mom pregnant, and that when she would ask about like her family's heritage or about her childhood, that her parents just like shut it down. We're like, no, we're not answering that question. So she submitted a DNA test to like something like 23andMe, it said. It didn't say what the website actually was though. And she came back as being 100% Polish, which I feel like is kind of a rarity in those kinds of. But okay.
Yeah.
It said she was 100% Polish and that she had none of the same heritage as Madeleine McCann would have. So it's not like a DNA test that says like you're not Madeleine McCann, but like Madeleine McCann was not 100% Polish.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
And you're not related to any of her relatives.
Yeah. And Madeleine McCann's parents and her sister have kind of said like, and you know, if she takes the test and she is, great, but like I don't think she is. And so like they would have said like, no, actually Madeleine was 100% Polish, and so like she's obviously not Madeleine McCann. But she was on Dr. Phil at one point, and she's like telling him that about like that there are no photos and no birth certificate, like there's no record of my birth or childhood. And he talked to her parents and they were like, that's not true, like she has hidden these things so that like in her TikTok video she's like, look, you can't find my birth certificate anywhere. They're like, we did have her birth certificate, she took them and like got rid of them, I guess, because we don't have them anymore. And like they said like all of the photos were like gotten rid of and whatever. And so like she's just like really trying to like feed into this idea and like villainize them, but she's doing it herself, they say. And then she also told Dr. Phil that she is going to get like a more legitimate DNA test to see who her parents are, but that if these are her biological parents, that she will not, like, she still won't talk to them because she just feels like they're lying to her, basically. But
I just at least thought this girl was adopted. Like, knew that she was adopted, and that is where this all came from. And, like,
I think that was part of her story at first.
Yeah.
But then her parents were like, no. And the other thing is, like, that if that was the case, then, like, it shouldn't bother you that there are no pictures of your mom pregnant.
Right.
Because you know your mom wasn't pregnant with you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that, like, based on the things she said to Dr. Phil and that her parents said, like, she isn't adopted either. But that they have upset her to the point where she doesn't want to be in contact with them anymore, regardless. But,
well,
yeah.
The hunt for Madeleine McCann continues.
Yeah, and, like, when I was looking at, like, everything that had happened with this so far, a lot of the results that came up pointed out that, like, this is the first time Madeleine McCann's sister has spoken about her disappearance ever. Like, she disappeared in 2007. Her sister was a child, too. And this is the first time she's ever spoken about her sister's disappearance. And so, like, I think that it's just a lot of, like, pain coming back up for Madeleine McCann's family.
Yeah, I'm sure. Any final thoughts? We'll be so excited to be back after the Vanderpump finale.
I don't watch Real Housewives, but do you watch New Jersey?
No.
Okay, Teresa Giudice's wedding is also airing this week.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen the photos of that hair. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm still catching up on Summer House. RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars started. We will be back for more gossip next week. Bye.
Bye.